guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my mid-year check-in, kind of talking about my goals and my stats. I used to do a lot of stats videos, and I really enjoyed them. I know they weren't watched that much, but I really enjoyed them. I like keeping stats. I keep all my data on spreadsheets, and I just love putting those all and seeing the numbers and seeing all the data. I just don't do a lot with it as much as I used to. So, but I thought that if I did it at the mid-year and maybe at the end of the year, maybe it'd be more interesting. And maybe by the end of the year, I'll figure out the graph thing to get it to work. I just didn't have time. And I'm just gonna, this is kind of me just talking. And then after I go through my stats, we'll talk about where I am on my goals for the year. Because newsflash, not very good. Anyway, so in the first 6 months of the year, again, I did this from January 1st to June 30th. So I don't count anything that I've read in the last couple weeks. This is all just from that time period. So in the first 6 months, I read 95 books. 60 of them were physical, 2 of them were ebooks, and 33 of them were audiobooks, which is a very high number for me. This year just my job has changed, and so that has changed my consumption of audiobooks to where it's easier for me to listen to audiobooks because I'm by myself a lot more often than I was. So it just works out. So anyway, I've done a lot more audiobooks. But of those audiobooks, well, not of those others, although all those books that I read, 95 of those books that I read, 43 of them, or 45% of my reading, was rereads this year. This has been the year of the reread, which I'm not angry about at all. It has to do with my decision to focus on series this year. I used to read almost exclusively series years ago, and then I fluctuate. I go back and forth where I read a lot of series. I always am reading series, but I'll back off and won't do it as much, or shorter series. And a lot of my series that I really enjoy are ongoing. So, as I said, I did reread a whole series that was like 20 books, so 22 books actually. So, I did a lot of rereading in the first half of the year. I'm not sure I'm going to do as much in the second half, but we'll see. I just wanted to put out that 45% of my reading in the first 6 months was rereading. I did 7 graphic novels or manga, and I had 7 official DNFs. So I have a few that are kind of lingering that I'm not quite sure yet on. They're not sure, but 7 for sure I DNF, which is a really low number for me compared to the last few years. So I think this year, because I've been focusing on series, and definitely by authors that I have enjoyed, which is a stat I did not think to do, is new to me authors. I forgot to do that. It's not that high. I mean, so I'll add it to for the next one. But I've been reading a lot of authors that I know that I like them, and so I've been getting through them, I guess. I don't know. Let's see here. Of those 95 books, 73 of them were from books I owned, and 22 were from the library. So a lot of those 22 were audiobooks I got from the library. So even some of those I own physically, but I got the audio copy from my library instead of owning an audiobook. So, so my percentage on that, I didn't put it down here, but it is much higher that stuff is coming off of my shelves, which is great because of the series, but I still get a lot from my library. It is that most of those were audiobooks, but still. Then, so I did want to say there were, like, as I said, I had those other DNFs, but there are 5 books that I kind of carried over that are kind of still on the fence. So, books that I didn't get to finish in the first half of the year. So hopefully maybe I'll get through those. We'll see. Let's see here. So I did buy a lot of books in the first half of the year. I have to admit, again, due to my job change and things that happened, I have become much easier to just hit the buy button. And I am right now trying to figure out a way to slow myself down, Hasn't happened yet. I'm just saying I'm working on a plan. I just haven't come up with it yet. Any ideas? Let me know. But I have bought 176 books in the first half of the year. Okay, guys, I read 90. And not all of those are books that I own. Or 95. So, you know, I'm buying on average almost 2 books for every book I read. And that has been an unfortunate way of me doing this for a long time. Now, again, most of the books I read were rereads. So it doesn't even, it's not even new books coming off my shelf. So it's like almost 3 times, over 3 times more books I'm bringing in than the book I read. It's not working. I need to figure out a plan. But anyway, my average cost per book is about $7.64. So that's a lot of money. And I know that. It just, you know, as I said, that this year, that's all I've pretty much done is buy books. So anyway, it's just, I need to work on that. And I'm going to work on them. So of those 176 books, 33 of them I have read so far this year. 7 of them I'd read previously. So they were books that either came out in paperback this year when I read the hardback from the library or something like that. Or I got a new copy of something. So there was a few of those. But that means those 136 books ended up on my TBR. So that's the number that kind of hurts. Anyway, so the number of pages I've read in the 6 months is 32,823 pages. So that gives me an average of 181 pages per day. That is high. My goal is to be at least 50 or above. I would like to be over 100 most months. And most months I was easily over 100. And there was a couple months where I was way over 100. May was my best one because I did all that rereading of Nalingi Singh by audio, the same as I was reading a lot at home. I was also listening to audiobooks at work. So I had an average of 308 pages per day. That has never happened before. That's my highest rating probably ever of a month of how much reading I did. That was an insane month. Anyway, won't happen probably again for a really long time. My average page count per book is actually up from the last few years. I've usually been around the 300 mark. This is 345 is my average length of book that I've been reading this year. So that's also a good sign. I want to pick up more of my bigger books. And I mean, it's not that I gravitate towards short books, but I do tend to sometimes pick shorter books for a quick read to, you know, offset some other book. I'm not picking up big books. So I'm getting better at this. I still need that average to go higher. And I pick up books that are much bigger, but I picked up a lot more books that are 400 plus books. I still haven't made it to my 500 plus books much. I've only read 1 or 2 of those. So I still need to work on that, but I'm getting better. Anyway, and I think reading some of the series that have multiple books in the 300 and 400 range have helped. Okay, so my percentage of authors of male to female is 86.3%. As 82 books written by females. I have 10 books written by males for 10.5%. And then I have 3 so far that was a team of writers. That's just a little bit over 3%. So that again was a lone answer. So anyway, so that's, I mean, it's a little high for me on the female side, but I think the series that I've been picking up are all been mostly female writers. So sooner or later, I'll get some series with guys in there. I'll read more. Translated books. I usually do really well on this, and I have only read 1 translated book so far this year. That is wrong. I don't even know what happened. I think because most of my series are either UK or US based, this isn't going to work. So I got to find a way to read more translated works. My goal in August, of course, is to read several for women in translation. So I know my number will go up, but it's not going to be enough. So that might be something next year I more focus on, because this year I've kind of let that kind of slide. I have tons of translated books that I would love to read. And some of them are series, but most of them are standalones. You know, I just need to intersect more of those into my reading. And I definitely, that was a wake-up call that I'd only had one. That is very low for me, and I'm kind of upset at myself. And then my percentage for POC authors is kind of low this year. I'm hoping to grade this higher in the second half of the year. I'm at 26%. Most of that, though, is Nalini Singh. So I definitely need to get more authors of different backgrounds into my reading. So I will be trying to figure that out with some series that connect to other cultures. So we're going to do that. My star ratings are, I've only had 6 5-star reads. So it's about 11.5% of my rating. 37 4-star reads. So I am very much give it a 4-star if I enjoyed the ride and I would possibly reread it again. So 37 books are ones I found enough enjoyment to say that I might come back to that. So that's 71% of my rating. 7 3-stars, so about 13.5%, and then 2 2-stars for almost 4%. So these 2 2-stars were almost 1-stars, both of them, but there's just enough merit that I had to give them 2. So, but I don't give out very many. I usually DNF stuff. Again, haven't DNF'd a whole lot this year, but technically I don't have usually very many in the low range because I usually stop reading. But those 2, which I'll talk about in a minute, it's just at the end. Yeah. Anyway, so and I didn't have any 1-stars. So as I said, I haven't had anything that I just hated completely. So not yet so far this year. We'll see what happens. So the genres I read, percentage-wise, I read 41 paranormal romances so far this year for 43.2% of my reading. 15 were romances, 15.8. 14 were urban fantasies, which is 14.7. Fantasies was 13 with 13.7%. So, you know, all those are kind of close. Again, paranormal romance and romance, they're different because one's more contemporary and the other one's paranormal, but it's not contemporary romance. It's more, they're still not quite the same. More erotica, let's put it that way. But there's quite a few of those. I had only 3 of science fiction and 3 of mystery. So those are both like 3% of my reading. Nature nonfiction is my only, well, no, it's not my only nonfiction, but I'm surprised. I said I had really low nonfiction in the first half of the year. I'm hoping to pick that up this rest of that year. I had 2 of those, so for 2%. And then I had 1 contemporary, 1 memoir, 1 historical fiction, and 1 classic. And those are all a little bit over 1% of my reading. So again, it's not as many genres that I've had before. But again, paranormal romance has been the highest, mostly because I did the reread of the Side Changeling series. And then I read a ton of Shelley Lawrenston, who, again, that was the other half of those. And then, you know, so I'm leaning heavy towards that stuff this year. Again, series that I want to read and reread. So my favorite book of the year, if you guys saw my mid-year book freakout tag, was Wildfire by Alona Andrews. That's still my favorite at this point. So, and then the 2-star reads that I had are my least favorite or most disappointing was Lore Olympus Volume 1 and by Rachel Smythe, I'm not sure. And just because I hated the ending, like I liked it all the way up till a decision was made in the end and just ruined it for me. And then the other one was The Valley of Fear by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. That Sherlock Holmes is my least favorite of everything I've read. And I really hated it all the way until the end, where I see why it was done that way, but I did not like the structure or anything about it. So it's my least favorite of the Sherlock Holmes. And so it's a 2 because it was just, it was so close to a 1 because I hated most of that reading experience. And it's only when I realized looking back why it was done that it's not quite so bad, but still did not like those. So those are my most disappointing. And then a little of my stats for series is how many books. Okay, so I read 95 books. 82 of those were connected to a series. So 86.3% of my reading was series read. That is huge compared to the last, since I joined BookTube, really. I used to read a lot more series long time ago, but I didn't read quite so much, so the numbers wouldn't still add up the same way. But this year has been just the year of the series, which is great. I needed this. I have so many series. I still have so many series I want to binge read and get back into, or reread the first book and get back into the series. There's so many still. So this is definitely something I will probably be focusing on more going forward. I like standalones, and I need to read more of them intermixed, but I still love the binging of series. So how many series did I finish or catch up in? 9. I actually 9 series of that I've read this year. So not books that series that I already had on my shelf that I'm caught up on, but books that I read a book for it this year and now are caught up at this moment is 9 of them. So some of them are finished, or some are the last book in the series is out. So the most current book is out and I've read it. Is 9 of those. But I also started 9 new series that are not complete yet. So not doing so hot there. And then, but of all my rereads, so again, I reread 43 books. 40 of those were rereads. So, I definitely am focusing on the reading and the reading the series. And so that's kind of reflected that. I just thought that was kind of funny that so many of my series was rereads. Because again, I reread the whole Sight Changeling, and that's 20 books right there. So just really quick, let's just do this. So these are, just to kind of show that, see, there's some series that I'm all caught up. Like this is the Pride series and the Magnus Pack. So these ones are all done. Like I finished these, and I'm caught up on Dark Olympus. There won't be another book till next year, so I'm caught up. These ones I need to still work on. A couple here. I'm caught up on the Wicked Villain series and the SPI files and Sherlock Holmes. I got 1 left, and stuff. So there's Hidden Legacy I'm in the middle of right now. So there's some of these. And these are some of these rereads, like Lord of the Rings is here that I want to read. I didn't cross them out because I really want to reread them and get to the Silmarillion is the last one, because I have not ever read that. So I want to get to that this year. Haven't got to that yet. The next book in the Last King of Ostenard is coming out, or has come out. I have it. I already put this on here, but this is the last little duology I finished at the end of June. And of course it goes on. But this is from this what I was hoping to get to. So I do have, a lot of, it doesn't look like that much when I put it down, because I did not put the Sight Changing series on here because that would be 20 boxes, and I didn't do that. So here is my graph for how many books I've bought. Look, it's ridiculous. So I had some months I'm really good, and these are still in the 17 range, 17 books. And then these ones are like way out, because this one I went to a library book sale with my dad. So I had like 49 books that month. And then this one I think was over 30 something. Anyway, point is that I need to curb this. We haven't figured that quite out yet. So then the last thing, I just want to go through my reading goals real quick. The Goodreads goal of 52 books was completed. Even though I've reread so much, still I made 52 books that are new books to me that was on Goodreads. I don't count rereads on Goodreads. I don't know how people do that on that one, but it doesn't matter. I don't count rereads on Goodreads. So my 52 are 52 new books to me. And I did complete that before the end of June. So that's a tick off. My next one was 50 pages per day on average to read. And as I said, my average is over 100. What did I say? 181 for the whole half of the year. So that's fantastic. So I'm not worried about that. I'm doing pretty good there. Number 3 was to cull books in June and December. So in June, I have not done as much culling. I did a little bit. I do still have a couple sections I want to go through, and really, I have way too many books, and I have decided there's certain classics and certain old horror books that I don't need anymore, that I'm not going to read, and some romance in certain genres that I'm just never going to read. and I don't need to keep them. So I do have a little bit more binging to do on that. And so that's kind of half done because I did some of the sections, but I didn't do everything. So I still need to do that. So here's number 4 is limit library use, 5 or less for out from the library and 5, and then I could have 5 on hold. I did perfectly on this up until July. So we won't count July because that's in the next half of the year. But let's just say I needed a reminder to do this because I went out of control in July. But I did really good during the year. As I said, my library use, most of it was by audiobook of stuff that I already owned. So we'll see. We'll try to curb it back down after July. July is not going well. And then number 5 was just serious about series. I think I've definitely accomplished that since 86% of my reading is the series. I think I'm doing fine. Number 6, read pre-order books from 2019 to 2022, which is the list. I have a list of all the pre-ordered books. I'm not doing very good on that. Right now, I've read half of the pre-order books that I've bought in the first 6 months of the year. So I'm not great, but I'm halfway through some of those books. I need to read some more. So I'm not doing as well on this project as I was hoping because I focus so much on series. And a lot of my pre-order books are either in series I need to catch up on or they're standalones. And I just haven't been reading as many. So I still need to work on that. Number 7 is a complete fail. Read 6 to 8 big books, 600 plus pages. I've not read any over 600 plus pages yet. I've read, as I said, I think I've read 1 or 2 over 500 pages. This goal just isn't working this year with my series goals. So it's not going so well. And then number 8 is to read owned TBR, limit pre-orders and buy local, which I've done a lot better at buying at my local bookstores. For especially the hardback, the couple that I bought that have been hardback or stuff that's not, that I'm really want to go and get those at the, I just have a tendency to buy stuff right now on eBay and some of the other places that are discounted, and I just need to stop. I really not doing too good on that one either. So that's kind of it. I have lists of like all the classics and the big books I was going to read. And so far I've only read Villette off of my classics list because I only had 1 so far. It is not the year of classics. Let me just say, I haven't been feeling like reading a lot of them. I reread a lot in July, but it's not the same. Like, it's just, I'm not doing very good with the classics this year. And I'm just going to say that's just not going to happen. And then the big book thing, of course, has been a fail. But that's okay. We'll see how the rest of the year goes. But that is it. Sorry, I talked so much, and I hope that at least some of that was interesting. I don't know. Anyway, so how was your mid-year check-in? Like, as in, are you following your goals? What kind of stats do you like to keep? Are there any that I should add to my list? As I said, I used to love doing these every month, but I think now it's just, hopefully I'll get some graphs next time. I'm trying to work out how to do that still. At least get like a picture of them or something. I'm just so haven't learned how to do that yet. And I used to know how to do it on Excel, but not anymore right now. So I need to relearn. And so maybe by next year or for the end of the year, I'll have some graphs. We'll see. Anyway, I hope that at least was a little bit interesting. If not, oh well. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.